I'd like to call the September business meeting to order for the Tribal Council. If you please stand. Mr. Bobby, you mind doing the invocation?
Thank you for your son, Christ, and came across his child. His life and hope, God, bless his counsel and will seek you, please. And we really watch this for our lonely people. Keep it in mind that what we do have effects, God. And God, we give you great glory and honor. We pray and thank you. Amen.
Remain standing. Ms. Homer, you mind doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jody Buller, you mind doing the preamble?
In accordance with the inherent power of self-government of the Columbia Tribe of North Carolina, the tribe adopts this Constitution for the purpose of establishing tribal government structure, preserving for all time the Columbia way of life and community, promoting educational, cultural, social, and economic well-being of Columbia people, and securing justice and freedom for Columbia people.
You may be seated. Miss Nancy, you mind doing the roll call?
Present.
Grayla Mitchell. Gerald Gooseby.
Here.
Pam Hunt. Harold Smith.
Here.
Jody Bullard.
Here.
Carrington Locklear. Wendy Moore. Larry Chavis.
Here.
Yvonne Dye. Here. Kathy Hunt. Doy McNeil.
Here.
Bobby Emanuel.
Here.
Chakawana Oxendine.
Here.
Josephine Dawes. Here. Alex Baker.
Here.
Palmer Fields. Here. Nancy Locklear. Here. Larry Sauls.
Here.
Rudy Locklear.
Here.
Christy Hunt.
Here.
All right, thank you. I will read the ethics statement. In accordance with the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Ordinance 2010-0312-01, it's the duty of every council member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearance of a conflict of interest with regards to any matters before the council today. Does any council member have a known conflict of interest or any perceived conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before the council today? If so, please refrain from participation in those particular deliberations during the meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone out tonight. I see we have two Indian Commission members, Chairman Ricky Burnett and Mr. Larice Hunt. We have our tribal attorney, Mr. Daniel Locklear. We have our senior Miss Lumbee, Miss Carolyn Emanuel, Miss Tammy, Miss Tasha, and we have some fine folks from Hope County tonight, and everyone else that's here in the chambers and everybody live stream. All right. If I can get a review and approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. Moving down to review and approval of the August Tribal Council minutes and actions.
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion that we adopt the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. Then we'll review and approval of the September emergency call minutes and actions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. We'll move right on down to our presentations. First up, we have our newly crowned Miss Lumbee, senior Miss Lumbee, Miss Carolyn McNeil Emanuel. If you got a mic or just use that podium. Carolyn, hey, do you want to stand here and so you can address? Yeah. She's gonna go get you a mic right quick. Yeah.
Probably didn't need this. So I can turn this way. This is my right place, I think. Okay. Well, thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. I want to say I am Miss Carolyn, Senior Miss Lumbee, and I am enjoying my reign, serving with y'all, and just learning a lot about my tribal too. I appreciate Mr. Bobby. He goes to Riverside. He informs us of all the things that's going on. The speaker, Dewey McNeil, is in our community, and he keeps us informed as well, and we appreciate that. I see a lot of things that you do that I didn't know you do, and I appreciate that, but that gives me a chance of serving my people, and I'm enjoying my reign. Again, I am Senior Miss Lumbee, Carolyn McNeil Emanuel, 2024 and 25, and I'm proud to be serving my Lumbee people. Thank you.
You want to sing first and give you this? Or what
Yeah,
you
we'll
want to do?
sing. It don't matter.
Well, go ahead and sing.
Well, I'll sing a little bit. Something that you can take with you. If you got Jesus, you got all that you can ever need. Take the world away from me, and I'll be okay. If I've got Jesus, I've got it all. And if you got Jesus, you can have it all. And if we all have Jesus, we can do it all. And that's even getting Lumbee recognition.
So on behalf of myself and the Tribal Council, we want to give you this gift in appreciation for what you're doing and what you're going to do so
Yes,
far.
sir. Okay. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up, we have Miss Stephanie. She is the Executive Director of the Robinson House. Yeah, right here. And you just press that that red, make sure the red light's on.
Okay, red light's on. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Andrade. I am the Executive Director of Robinson House that's located in Lumberton. I'm here with one of our officers from our Board of Directors, Miss Christy Fields. And I know it is customary to answer the question, who's my people? So for anyone who doesn't know, my people are from over there at Pate's Stockyard, what used to be Pate's, don't laugh at me, Miss Alex, but over there from that, what used to be a dirt road. Ellen Gale, yeah, Ellen Gale's my mama. So I am the Executive Director of Robinson House. We are located in Lumberton. Robinson House is a 24-hour nonprofit licensed residential care facility, which is a fancy way of saying that we are a nonprofit group home. At Robinson House, we believe in one vital rule: to leave something better than what you found it. Robinson House began in 1976 when legislation mandated that no child that is abused, neglected, indigent, or delinquent can be housed in what was once known as training camps, which was mini prisons for kids. In short, the state was trying to find a housing alternative to incarceration for teens that are experiencing a familial crisis, and instead placing them in homes or home-like environments to receive both emergency housing and programming as it related at the time to mental health, delinquency, and educational needs. As a result, two local businessmen, Barry French and Joseph Sandlin, were determined to bridge the gap in the continuum of care for vulnerable youth in our County and Robinson House was born. 48 years later, we still operate as the only temporary and emergency housing option for youth ages 7 to 17. As a matter of fact, we are one of 4 temporary emergency shelter in the Southeast region. We are a 24-hour facility servicing referrals from the Department of Social Services, Juvenile Services, and private parent referrals. In that time, through the dedication and passion for children that people like Ms. Christie have on our board of directors and our staff, we have built a solid and collaborative relationships with agencies that fall within the continuum of care, such as the North Carolina Youth Violence Prevention Center, Lumber River United Way, Robeson County Partnership for Children, the Roar Coalition, the Governor's Crime Commission, Colors of Life Gang Prevention Program, the Southeastern Domestic Violence Center, the Rape Crisis Center, and the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, as well as some amazing community members who donate necessary hygiene products, school supplies, clothing, and the most valuable of it all is their time. The collaborative effort made by these amazing programs and the professionals they employ has provided Robinson House with much needed programming such as trauma-focused therapy, resiliency training, violence intervention, mental health crisis intervention, and so much more. And while I can stand up here and give you the highlights of what we are trying to do at Robinson House, our trajectory and our vision for the future, I could expound on the dedication of not only our board, but of our staff and community. I do not think it would accurately describe the severity of the challenges that the most vulnerable among us face on a daily basis. It would come as no surprise to anyone on this council, being that you are all representatives in our communities, that our children are expected to burden the weight of adult decisions. They are filtered through a broken and diseased system, going from crime-ridden communities to underfunded and understaffed schools, to homes and parents that are in crisis, then rinsed and repeated. My mother, in her infinite wisdom, believed that children are resilient. She believes that children are resilient, and I would agree. But I would also say that we are all made up of tiny contradictory pieces, and we can't possibly know what these children's stories are because we don't know what pieces they had to choose from. While children are resilient, I do not believe that they should have to be. Being so closely affiliated with foster care system, I can speak confidently in their attempts to cushion the blow for children facing an unsure future. Foster care is a nuanced and very complex, multifaceted system, and to make it short and sweet, we are in a crisis. To get the gravity of what we can be considered as a crisis, I'm a number person myself, and I'm going to give you the numbers. In a national statistic, 75% of incarcerated people have spent 1 or more years in the foster care systems between the ages of 7 and 17. We have 250 children currently in Robeson County that are considered in care. Only 50 of those children are actually eligible for adoption at this time. That means about 200 are stuck in limbo and are expected to be reunited with their families. Is that always going to happen? Probably not. Of those 250 children, 165 of those children are Lumbee, or identify as American Indian. That means our Lumbee youth make up 66% of the children filtered through this broken system. At Robinson House, within any fiscal year, nearly 80% of the children we serve between 10 and 17 identify as American Indian and specifically Lumbee. While there is no easy answer to this crisis, my hope is after leaving here today, we can join forces in a collaborative effort so that together we can continue serving children and youth in a meaningful way. For more than 35 years, Robinson House has relied on the kindness and community charity of those around us. I hope I can prevail upon all of you to consider a mutually beneficial collaboration with Robinson House that would ensure Robinson House can continue to serve not only Lumbee youth, but all youth throughout our county. I want to formally invite you, and you have a flyer in front of you, I want to formally invite you to our first ever Robinson House information session on September 23rd at Chestnut Methodist Church in Lumberton at 6 p.m. There, I will provide all attendees with information packets regarding Robinson House's programs, introduce you to some of the Board of Directors and our staff, and describe the admission process and so on. I think together as dedicated entities to the community, we can serve more children more often and in a more meaningful way. So we can finally say, as the public schools so profoundly state all the time, no child is left behind. Thank you.
Let me add that a lot of the funding that we do receive is restricted, and some of that funding we have to front cost in order to be reimbursed. So you understand the challenges that we're facing. So we need your help. We're talking about, this is a house that is 100 years old. It needs renovation, and we don't have the funding to do that renovation up front. So anything that the tribe can do for our children would be much appreciated. And we hope that you take our request very seriously, because these are children who are able to come in and get a good night's rest, and they are well fed, because the community has been very good to us. I would love to be able to have Starbucks every week. I could, but it would cost me my own money. These children are able to have Starbucks every week. They're able to have food from the local restaurants because of their willingness to donate, but we need them to also have a safe place to stay that is renovated. And so I would encourage you, I know you're busy, we all are, please take time to come and visit the Robinson House, see what we're about, and see what our children are coming to live in. And for most of them, it's better than what they came out of. It's still a good place, but we need funding and we need help. We'll take your money too, your personal money. We are not prejudiced in any way. You're not biased. We will take your money too. Thank you for entertaining us.
Before we move to the next presentation, I forgot to mention Miss Tonya Jacobs. She is on the Supreme Court. She's one of our justices for the court. Probably a month or so ago, Miss Chakawana reached out for us to do a proclamation for Mount Elam Baptist Church. They're celebrating 100 years next Sunday. And so I got with the chairman, so behalf of the chairman and myself and the tribal council, we did a proclamation. And we have the pastor here and his wife and some congregation members. If they would come here and stand, and I'll read the proclamation, but the chairman and me and Chaka and whoever else on the council wants to go next Sunday, probably at what, 11, Chaka? Yeah, at 11. If any of the other council wants to come, we're going to actually present it to them at the church, but I just wanted to read it tonight and take a couple of photos. Yeah. All right. So it says, whereas it's a great honor to Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina to celebrate and pay homage to the Mount Elam Baptist Church and congregation family as the church celebrates its centennial anniversary. And whereas in the year 1924, on the 21st day of September, there was a great awakening which occurred in the small American Indian community in Hope County, as the Lord brought forth a new church that would be Mount Elam Missionary Baptist Church. And whereas those beginning church founders and community members were rooted, grounded, and committed to lay the foundation for the gospel, as they met in homes, tobacco pack houses, school buildings, and even under brush arbors. And whereas it is important to honor the commitment of the great men of God such as Reverend Z.R. Chavis and Reverend L.A. Maynor, who walked several miles to preach in these communities during those early years. And whereas in September 21st, 1924, the Burnt Swamp Baptist Association ministers met with the Indian worshipers at Jacobs Point Church School to organize the first Native American Baptist church in Hope County. And whereas Reverend L.A. Maynor was requested to be the pastor, and the name Mount Elam Missionary Baptist Church was chosen to identify the new congregation. And whereas in 1940, the church members collected money, material, and labor, and was donated to construct the first church, allowing the members to move from Jacobs Point School. In 1941, the first service was held in the new building. And whereas the church was expanded over the years to add classrooms and additional facilities, and eventually church property would grow to 21 acres and include daycare services to the community, with a vision to eventually include a home for senior citizens and a Christian school. And now, therefore, the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina does hereby recognize and proclaim the blessed achievements of Mount Elam church leadership, both past and present, to faithfully serve to support this Indian community and continue moving forward 100 years later for the glory of God.
They must be selling cars.
Jacob was raised.
Hey, y'all want to say anything?
Come on, preach.
Come on, preacher. Don't give him a 5 minutes.
Preach has always got the word.
5 minutes, preacher.
Give us some word tonight, baby.
Hey, thank y'all for opening up with Jesus.
Amen.
He's the reason for every season.
Amen.
Without him, we can do nothing, but with him, we can do all things through Christ, who strengthens us. Amen. It's amazing that 100 years ago, it's hard to get Indians to get together on anything. But here, 100 years later, we're still together. Amen. And that's what God will do. When he's in it, he'll teach us how to love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all men know that you're my disciples, because you love one another. God bless y'all. Thank you for recognizing our church. Brother Dewey, God bless you.
All right, Mr.
Benny, I know you ain't got nothing to say.
You know me. It's good to see you, Benny.
All right, next up we have Mr. Ricky Burnett with the Commission of Indian Affairs. He's going to give their monthly update.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Tribal Council. First and foremost, I want to say on behalf of myself and Mr. Larice, we want to thank you for reappointing us to represent you on the North Carolina Commission of Indian Affairs, not only you, the council, but the Lumbee Nation also. So we look forward to serving and representing. And I'll say this, if you as council members have any concerns, any questions about what may be taking place or something you heard, you can gladly reach out to me, Mr. Larice, or to Brother V, and we'll be glad to take and act upon that. And you've also got Mr. Gerald that's on the council also. We did have our meeting on September the 12th right here in Lumbee country, and I want to say, Mr. Jody, we appreciate you coming by and with us for a while, and I believe Miss Wendy was there also, so we're so thankful for that, that they did. And let me back up a minute. I'm so glad Miss Carolyn recognized her representative and Mr. Dewey. Our representative, I want to tell you guys, Mr. Alex is doing an outstanding job in District 13. Not only he's from the oldest to the smallest, and our people talk about him all the time because every event he's always there and he's always doing and wanting to know what he can do for our people. So I applaud him and tell you, you've got a great asset here on this tribal council with you. But one of the things, just a few, Mr. Speaker, I had 20 pages, but I condensed it down.
Throw that 3-minute rule on you.
No. But wanted to say on June the 12th, we had what we called the Tribal Leaders Legislative Day. Mr. Jared Lauer had that established, and we were able to go up and meet with some of the legislators and letting them know our concerns as to things we would like to see in Indian country. So that's still in the process, and it's still going on. And that was an initial. We're looking that it will grow, and where we can invite even more tribal leaders that could come and at that meeting, people such as yourself. So we just wanted to make that known to you. Did you go to that one? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. And then to say to you that there were Indian remains found up around Morganton, and they basically belonged to the Catawbas. But once it happened, they actually covered that back up, and we agreed that they not bother it or anything like that, but they would get with the Catawba tribe and let them know. But it was great that they did. At the same time, down at Cedar Point, and some of you have been aware of the Bill 385, that we're trying to gather, myself, Greg Richardson, and some of the other members, and we're reaching out to the tribes too, that we want to try to go down and have a meeting with them, because they have actually dug up remains, and they want to continue digging. They want to continue building homes and doing those types of things. And we're totally against that, because that's our people, and they need to respect that as such. One of the legislators had to try to get the bill in there that, hey, that's private land. You can't tell them what to do. I agree with that. That's your land. I own land in Cumberland County, 10 acres of land. But if somebody would go and start digging and they would find Indian artifacts or anything like that, I would tell them, stop. You can't do that anymore. So just to make that aware for you, we just ask that you would take in and join in with us. At this time, they're doing the preparation of our North Carolina Indian Heritage Month for November. The proclamation, as soon as that's finished, we'll also be getting that out to copies to you as the I'm sorry, huh? We ain't at the church, Brother Alex. I'm hurrying. And then we met on August the 14th with USDA, and it was a great meeting. And what we did, the director, Reginald Splight, he pointed this, and I want to read this so I don't mess it up. He offered an opportunity for the commission and the state tribes to develop a home loan packaging program in partnership with USDA. And he indicated our representative is Miss Pamela Sunshine Richardson, who is a member of the Hollister tribe, and she works for them, but this is a great opportunity, and more of that is coming. Sunshine is gathering that information, and she will be getting it out. But again, to develop a home loan packaging thing through USDA, I would encourage you as the tribe to really look at that also. The other thing I would bring to our attention, that we met Tuesday, and we had the business get together, and it was interneting Indian businesses and things coming together. It was great. North Carolina DOT was there. They gave out a lot of information. There's a lot of opportunities for jobs that our people, if you've got a business or want to start one, and I would greatly encourage you to look into that also. But it was a great meeting. It was the first one that we've ever had, and we're looking to take and make it bigger and stronger. So Chairman Lowry was there. He spoke on behalf of the tribe, and we had other various people there also. But that's my report to you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you again for giving us this opportunity to come before you tonight.
And the council appreciates the reports. Next on the agenda, we have the chairman's report. It's going to be given by Miss Tammy Maynard tonight. As you know, she wears many hats.
It's nice to be before you this afternoon. Just want to remind you and the public that our tribal office will be closed on September 27th. The powwow will begin that day. Earlier in that day, we will have school days, of course. We look forward to that every year working with the children, but grand entry will be at 7 p.m. Friday night. So we're encouraging people to come on out and let's enjoy the powwow. On Saturday, grand entry is at 12 and 6 on Saturday. And on Sunday, grand entry will be at 1 p.m. We also want to remind you that October the 5th will be the annual fish fry that the Lumbee Tribe holds each year, and we love that time of the year. The fish fry will begin at 11 a.m. at the Lumbee Tribe Cultural Center. We also have district meeting for districts 9 and 10, September the 24th. So we encourage you to come out and participate in District 9 and 10 community meeting at Four Winds at 6 p.m. Just wanted to remind you of these events, and if you have any questions, I'll be here after the meeting. Thank you.
Down to committee reports. We have Agriculture and Natural Resources, Mr. Jody Bullard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CLLR 2024-0919-01 was started at 6, whereas the Lumbee Tribal Council acknowledges that water is life and as such is compelled to protect water quality within the tribal territory, and whereas the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Superfund Research Program, the UNC Institute for the Environmental and Winyah Rivers Alliance have partnered for the purposes of enhancing the understanding of hurricane-associated flooding on private well water to mitigate exposure to toxic metals, and whereas the aforementioned partners seek to explore collaborative opportunities with the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina while developing a plan to address any questions or concerns of the Lumbee Tribe IRB, and whereas this research will collect and analyze well water samples near but not limited to Maxon Hayes Pond, and that all findings be reported to Lumbee Tribal Council and the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, and therefore be resolved that the Lumbee Tribal Council does hereby consent to collaborate with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Superfund Research Program, the UNC Institute for Environment and Winyah Rivers Alliance, and support such research efforts, and it to be resolved this legislation be cited. Resolution of collaboration between the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Superfund Research Program, and the UNC Institute for Environmental Winyah Rivers Alliance.
So this did not come out of committee, so we would need a second for this.
I'll second it.
Right, we have a second. Is there any discussion? All right, roll call, Ms. Nancy.
Billy Oxenine,
Yes.
Gerald Gooseby,
Yes.
Harold Smith,
Yes.
Jody Bullard,
Yes.
Larry Chavis,
Yes.
Yvonne Dye,
Yes.
Dewey McNeil,
Yes.
Bobby Emanuel,
Yes.
Chakawana Oxenine,
Yes.
Josephine Dawes,
Yes.
Alex Baker,
Yes.
Homer Fields,
Yes.
Nancy Locklear, yes. Larry Soules,
Yes.
Rudy Locklear,
Yes.
Christy Hunt.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you, Miss Nancy. Moving right along to Constitution and Ordinance, Mr. Rudy Locklear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have one item coming out of committee, CLLO 2024-0919-01, repeal of ordinance 2023-1221, virtual usage of committee meetings. I started at second whereas Article 7, Section 1 of the Constitution, the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina delegates all legislative authority to the Tribal Council of the Lumbee Tribe. And whereas the Lumbee Tribal Council previously enacted Ordinance CLLO 2023-1221-01 to regulate the use of virtual technology for committee meetings to increase transparency and encourage greater participation from our tribal community. And whereas it's come to the attention of the Tribal Council that the virtual access provision in this ordinance has been exploited in ways that threaten our sovereignty of our tribal government, including the abuse of recordings that have been used to undermine the authority of the tribal government. And whereas the misuse jeopardizes the integrity of tribal governance by eroding trust and creating divisions within the community, thus impeding the ability of the tribal government to govern effectively without abuse, without outside interference. And whereas the Tribal Council recognizes the critical importance of maintaining transparency and participation, but must also protect the sovereignty of the Lumbee Tribe from external influences that seek to manipulate tribal matters for personal or political gain. And whereas alternative means of ensuring transparency and community engagement such as in-person attendance and structured communications must be explored to strike a balance between transparency and the protection of the tribe's sovereignty, and therefore be it enacted by the Tribal Council, Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, that ordinance CLO 2023-1221 virtual usage for committee meetings is hereby repealed in its entirety, effective immediately. Section 1, the purpose of this repeal is to protect the sovereignty of the Lumbee Tribe by eliminating the misuse of virtual meeting access, which has been used in ways that threaten tribal governance and erode the trust required for effective leadership. Section 2, sovereignty and governance. The Tribal Council affirms the importance of safeguarding the autonomy of the Lumbee Tribe by entrusting the governance processes are free from manipulation and abuse, while continuing to explore other avenues for transparency and community involvement. Section 3, alternative solutions. The Tribal Council will consider alternative methods to maintain transparency and community participation, including encouraging in-person attendance and creating structured avenues for communication and information sharing, which do not compromise the tribe's ability to govern effectively. Section 4, effectiveness. This repeal takes effect immediately upon adoption by the Tribal Council of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, coming from committee, it does not require a second. Is there any discussion before roll call? Mr. Baker?
So I do have a question, as I see that this has to be signed by John. So that means it has to hang for 30 days, so I'm concerned about the clause, the fourth section of effectiveness, that this repeal will take immediately upon place of the Tribal Council. So that one is my first concern. My second concern, or question rather, is have we dealt with the fact that that minutes are not being maintained for committee meetings and posted online?
Would you like to answer that, Mr. Locklear?
Yes, as to your first point, Mr. Baker, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll take that and modify it to ensure that it complies, that the ordinance must hang for 30 days, and upon 30 days, it will take effect immediately. As to your second question, yes, this discussion regarding minutes and action items as it relates to committee meetings has been discussed in previous Constitutional Ordinance Committee meetings, as well as with administration, and I think those discussions are ongoing, and I think that the administration has taken and spoken with our tribal liaison and our folks that are dealing with the IT in terms of getting those minutes transcribed and putting them online.
Got Ms. Siobhan.
When I read this whereas, the first one on the second page, whereas alternative means of ensuring transparency and community engagement, such as in-person attendance and structured communications, must be explored to strike a balance between transparency and the protection of the tribe's sovereignty. Now, I have a question about, you're saying about the means of ensuring transparency must be explored. It sounds to me, the way this is stated, that we need to make it thorough and comprehensive as what we are going to explore, and have that also in a resolution. It doesn't sound like that we have, it seems to stress that we have this fear, but I also feel that to be fair to our members of our tribe, that those particular means of being explored should also be already taken care of to be added to this resolution, so we would know how it is going to be balanced. I don't think that it's fair to our members, all of our members, if we are not going to balance it already before we even have a resolution to be voted on.
Do you want to answer that?
I'm not sure exactly what Ms. Siobhan is asking in terms of alternative methods. As we've discussed in committee, previously, there are methods already in place that provide for access to committee meetings that we already have had in place. So a resolution, in my mind, is something we can take up if any committee member on the Constitutional Ordinance Committee has a resolution they would like for us to draft. They have that option. To my knowledge, since I've been chairman, we have not brought any resolutions to the committee to discuss prior to this ordinance regarding alternative methods. It's my understanding that we've already discussed alternative methods prior to voting on this ordinance in committee.
And let me add to that, it will go back to where it's always been before there was Zoom. If you want to attend the community meeting, you would come into chambers. So that's what it would go back to until there is an alternative resolution written to change anything. We got Mr. Bill Oxenine and then Mr. Jody Woolwood.
God address it to you or to Rudy. I'm in favor of Zoom, but we got to have communication with our people. I don't know how you want to do it, but we can't say cut them off completely. Now, that's not right. That's my opinion. Now, that's not right. We got to have communication with our people. We want them to vote, but we don't want them to listen to us. So I'm not in favor of cutting them off. So I'm in favor of keeping Zoom and doing it better.
No. Mr. Bullard?
This is just a suggestion on the meeting minute notes being posted online. Zoom and other virtual platforms has the capability of using read-only AI, so that can eliminate having somebody writing the notes down and then having to put them back online. So that'll be a whole lot easier for administration and us.
All right, that's the end of the discussion. We will do a roll call vote at this time.
Billy Oxenine,
No.
Gerald Gooseby,
Yes.
Harold Smith,
Yes.
Jody Bullard,
No.
Larry Chavis,
Yes.
Yvonne Dahl,
No.
Dewey McNeil,
Yes.
Bobby Emanuel,
Yes.
Chakawan Oxenine,
Yes.
Josephine Dawes, Alex Baker,
No.
Palmer Fields,
Yes.
Nancy Locklear, yes. Mr. Larry Soul,
No.
Rudy Locklear,
Yes.
Christy Hunt.
No.
Call the vote out, please.
10 yes, 6 no's. Motion carries.
All right, that is it as far as business items tonight. We will move on down to community comments. And before we get started with community comments, I just wanted to address to Mr. Malachi, if he's listening, the council has received your community comment, and we will take in consideration what you have emailed us. So next up, we have Mr. Richard Jones from District 6. And just a reminder that community comments are limited to 3 minutes, and when you get to the mic, please state your name and your district.
First, since I wasn't afforded the proper introduction as duties in the quorum call. Hi, my name is Richard Jones, former council member of District 6. How this council is perceived. Why should I come? They're not going to help, they're not going to change. This is what I'm hearing every day. The actions or lack of actions this council has taken is becoming detrimental. Just look at the audience. Half of the people was invited. There's the lack of voter turnout and definitely the lack of people, our citizens wanting to run for our office. I, a former council member, can't even get a response from either one of my reps, and I've emailed them. Who do I go to? Stop taking things personally. Vote and do things for the people. You talk about sovereignty, but you just passed a law that allows a non-Lumbee citizen to be virtual over a Lumbee citizen. You invite non-Lumbees to come virtual to speak, but yet you won't allow a Lumbee citizen to be virtual. You've just cut off thousands of Lumbees. The Jacobses of Oregon, the Locklears and Lowrys of LA, and the Joneses of Massachusetts. All those Lumbee citizens of future generations, stop thinking about yourself, thinking about the future of our citizens being able to interact. One day there might be more, it could have been more than maybe 4 or 5 people on Zoom. It could have been good experience, more people across our country, our Lumbee citizens. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Ms. Coronado.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Vabrina Coronado. I used to be in District 7. Now I believe I'm in District 20. So I completely agree with everything that Mr. Richard said. I actually am going to talk about something else that I do think is related. Tribal IDs. So I've had a tribal ID since I could have one. Most of my family members do. And you may or may not know that our tribal ID can be used as an ID if you are ever in a situation where you have to prove your citizenship of the United States, like for job applications and things. Now, I think it's really important, or I would, I guess, challenge or push the tribal council and the tribe to talk about and push for showing that our tribal ID is a valid citizenship ID. I went to apply, well, let me see. And we should be able to use our tribal ID for ID where you might use a driver's license anywhere in Robeson County. I have had to argue with people at the water company, and why now? We got somebody who, the head of the water department is a Lumbee. Why do I have to argue with employees and they won't take my ID? They got to see a North Carolina driver's license. Same with Lumbee River. I guess people who were on Duke Power, same thing. We should be able to use our tribal ID. I mean, people, I have seen plenty of times on Facebook and talk to people. What's the use to have an ID? It don't do anything for me. So here's some things. I've used it to fly, although I'll tell you, one time I was told, no, that is not a valid ID, and the guy had this big book of approved IDs for travel, and there were lots of native IDs in that book, but Lumbees weren't in it. Why not? Why isn't our Lumbee tribal ID in that book of approved tribal IDs for flying, whether domestic or international? If we are a nation of people, and lastly, I'll just say, I will argue every time to use my tribal ID, but I don't want to have to, especially in Lumbee land. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
We would take those concerns in consideration. Moving right along, we'll go down to calendar review. All right, before we add anything to What you got, Mr. Bill? We're on September. All right, for September the 23rd, we got finance at 6:30 and Constitution and Ordinance following at 7:30. And on the 24th, we have a District 9 and 10 community meeting will be held at Four Winds Community Building at 6 p.m. Then on Friday, it kicks off the powwow, which will be the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. And also remember that the tribal offices will be closed on the 27th and the 30th. Now getting to October, Mr. Bill.
October the 24th, District 1 Community Meeting. October the 24th.
What time, Mr. Bill?
Time change, 6 o'clock. Let's start at 6. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Joel.
Yeah, Thursday, the 3rd, Economic Development. And I can go at any time during that night also.
All right, so we already have Ms. Chakawana has her community meeting on the 3rd. Yeah, I think that just went out today, right, Chalk? Yeah. So hold on a minute. So what?
Change mine to the 7th.
So October the 3rd will be Hawkeye at 6:30 for Ms. Chaka and Mr. Larry's community meeting.
7th.
All right. Economic development at what time?
6:30 be fine.
All right. Mr. Bullard.
October the 7th at 7:30 for health.
Mr. Rudy.
October the 8th for Constitution Ordinance at 6:30. Huh?
All right.
What time did you say, Rudy?
6:30. Ms. Chaka.
Can I do, and I know it's after the business meeting, but I just need to have an education meeting. It's not anything to vote on. Can I have it the 21st?
Okay. All right.
I guess I need to set a finance in the absence of the chair. Mr. Rudy, can we switch, because I know you always have a long meeting? Can I have the 6:30 slot for finance, and you take the 7:30?
It's fine.
Thank you. Finance at 6:30 on October the 8th, please, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All right. Mr. Harold.
Fair recognition, 7:30 on the 21st.
Mr. Homer. And where will your meeting be held at, Mr. Homer? First Nation. So on the 29th of October, Mr. Homer is having a community meeting down at First Nation at 6 o'clock. Why? They had yours after they had yours. I didn't know that concerned you. It's fine. All right. All right. Is that all for the calendar review for October? Okay. All right, so we'll go back over calendar review for October. October the 3rd at 6:30 at Hawkeye will be Ms. Chakawana and Mr. Larry's district meeting. And then on October the 7th at 6:30 will be economic development. Following 7:30 will be health. And on October the 8th at 6:30 will be finance. And CNO will follow at 7:30. And of course, we have our regular tribal council meeting on the 17th. And on the 14th, tribal offices will be closed for Indigenous Peoples Day. Following on the 21st, October 21st, education at 6:30, federal recognition at 7:30. And then October the 24th will be District 1 at 6 o'clock for their community meeting. And where are you having your community meeting at? Okay. All right. All right, then on October the 29th at 6 o'clock, Mr. Homer will have his community meeting down at First Nations. And then also on the 5th, October the 5th, will be the Lumbee Fall Festival and Fish Fry at the Culture Center starting at 11 a.m. 5th. Okay, is there anything else before Mr. Bill?
Are we picking a location for our Christmas social before it gets too booked up?
Bill, we'll talk about that at a later time. All right, if I can get a motion to adjourn, and then after that, we'll stand.
Second.
All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, if we could stand. Mr. Bobby, if you can do the benediction. Thank y'all.